Good evening, folks. Aaron Dorr here with the Missouri Firearms Coalition. And guys, we did not intend to do a second video today. We had published one earlier today with myself and Representative Jared Taylor. But some things come up that get our attention that, frankly, we're going to make time to talk about it. And one of those things has come up tonight with Representative Ron Hicks, Republican Representative Ron Hicks, and his attempt to pass gun control this session in Jefferson City. Folks, it got our attention and it made us mad, so we're making time for this broadcast tonight. So get signed in to this video. Let me know where you're watching from. Someone give me a mic check and tell us, where you're watching from, guys. Your comments help the video, as you know, be seen by more people. So comment immediately and tell us if you can hear us okay. And then you guys are not going to believe what we have to talk about. It's every other day some other Republican decides, I'm going to try to push a gun control bill here in Missouri, and I'm going to try to see what happens. Well, Ron Hicks screwed around. He's about to find out what happens when you push gun control in Jeff City, and we're going to make sure everyone knows what's going on. Barbara is checking in. I see Scott checking in, says your audio is good. Thank you. We got Mark in Farmington. All right, so guys are getting signed into the video. That's good. All right, guys, everyone knows it's a full court press right now in Jeff City. We've got Caleb Rowden, who was recently trying to join Democrats in undoing SEPA. We had the governor who keeps making these weird comments about undoing SEPA. We have a Supreme Court case challenging SEPA happening very shortly. We're pushing for to expand stand your ground law in Jeff City. And now, if we weren't busy enough, right, with all the stuff we have going on, now we have Republican Representative Ron Hicks from Defiance, who is pushing a gun control bill. Now, I got to tell you this. When I first heard about this today from one of our sources in the Capitol, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest. I said, who? And they said, Ron Hicks, Representative Ron Hicks. And I was like, who the hell is Ron Hicks? I mean, I've never heard of this guy. I've been in this Capitol since 2015, and apparently he's been there since about that same time, and I've never met the man. I mean, he is a singularly forgettable person. That's just the bottom line. Ron Hicks is the kind of guy you could never know he's in the building. And we did not know he was in the building because he's not been involved in any of the fights to advance gun rights, not for as long as he's ever been in the Capitol. But now that he's on his way out, now that Ron Hicks is termed out and he's leaving the legislature, Ron Hicks decides that this is the year that he's going to push legislation to make more misdemeanors grounds for being disarmed for a lifetime here in Missouri. This is the kind of crap that happens all the time in the Capitol. You have so many of these hyper moderates, and they say, you know what? I'll get to my 8th year, and I'm going to file gun control. And that's what Ron Hicks did here today. This is House Bill 1655, HB 1655. And what this does is it furthers the process and puts more people that have misdemeanor convictions onto the prohibited persons list here in Missouri. Now, that's what the bill does. Now, what Ron is going to say is that it applies to domestic violence situations. And it does. That's true. But it's not even just people who are convicted. It's people who are pending trial as well. It's people who have convictions for non-violent situations, people that have convictions for threats. And I'm going to be very clear on this. We're not sitting here trying to excuse or defend domestic violence in any capacity. But since about the days of, I had to look it up. Since the days of Sir William Blackstone in the 1700s, before America even existed, the idea of a felony versus a misdemeanor conviction was a great big separation. There's always been a massive gulf in the eyes of the law between a felony and a misdemeanor. And if we continue going down the road of the Democrats in D.C. and now Representative Ronnie Hicks right here in Missouri and continue to put more misdemeanors on the list of people who cannot own firearms, we will wake up someday very soon, and we'll have dozens of misdemeanors on this list, and we'll have thousands and thousands and thousands of additional gun owners who will have lost their right to keep and bear arms. That is the bottom line of what Ron Hicks's bill would do. It takes many people who can own a firearm today, and it takes those guns right out of your hands because, according to Ron Hicks, certain types of misdemeanors should now make you a prohibited person here in Missouri. This is the trash that we have to deal with all the time right now, folks, in Jeff City. We have some good champions in that capital. You heard from one of those today, Representative Taylor. You heard from Senator Burleson with me last week. But we also have scum like Ron Hicks. And again, I didn't even know this guy existed until this afternoon. A very, very forgettable person. But now that he's got on our radar, it's important that he is not forgettable to anybody else and to us ever again. So we are asking people to contact Ron Hicks tonight. I tried calling him. I called and talked to his secretary, a very nice person, and I was like, where is Ron? And she's like, I don't know. I don't know. And I was like, what is Ron doing filing a gun bill in the Capitol without talking to us? What is Ron doing filing a gun control bill as a Republican? And she's like, well, I can't answer that question. I said, no, I get it. I said, have Ron call me. Well, Ron never gave me a call back. So, folks, Ron now needs to hear from you, and he needs to ask, you have to ask him the question, Ron, what the hell are you thinking? Because here's the thing. It's not just Ron Hicks. The news article, and this is from the Kirksville Crier. I just lost the link. I had it on my screen. I dumped it by accident. He's joining up with Senator Lauren Arthur. This is Senator Lauren Arthur. She is the worst of the worst in the Senate. And Senator Rizzo to do this. Now, Senator Rizzo is the guy who's trying to repeal SEPA. And Senator Arthur is perhaps the most anti-gun member of the entire legislature in Jeff City today. Two of the worst, and this is who Ron Hicks is jumping into bed with. Ron, you should be ashamed of yourself. This is a disgrace to your district, and it's a disgrace to your time in office. And, folks, it's time that he hears from you today. We've posted his phone number and his email address in the contact section here. I'm going to post them again here right now in the comments myself. Guys, give him a call. Leave him a message tonight on his answering machine. And we have got Representative Hicks's cell phone number, but I think for tonight we're just going to use the main phone number and give him a call and tell him to withdraw this trash ball bill. You better withdraw this bill. We do not want to see any other misdemeanors become grounds for being disarmed. And again, it has nothing to do with our stance or trying to defend domestic violence. It has to do with our need as Missourians to defend the rule of law and due process and basic rules of justice. And in this country, for the entirety of our country, a felony and a misdemeanor were far apart. And the impact on our lives from being a misdemeanor convicted person to a felon was a wide gulf. It affected your voting rights. It affects your right to keep and bear arms. It affects your status in the community. If we blur those lines, we will wake up one day and we're going to see, again, dozens and dozens and dozens of additional misdemeanors added to the list of issues that can make you prohibited for the rest of your life. So, Ron, if you want to adjust the laws in Missouri somehow, well, then make it based on felony convictions. Oh, that's right. Felons already can't own firearms. You see, you're trying to fix a problem, Ron, that doesn't exist. You're taking your talking points from Lauren Arthur and Greg Rizzo and the radical left. And for that, you should be ashamed of yourself. And frankly, you should be drummed the hell out of your caucus. But since you only have a couple of months, weeks left in the legislature, thank God, that's going to happen whether you want it to or not. So, folks, that's all I have time for right now. It's a busy, busy day here today. Contact Ron Hicks. Have your friends contact Ron Hicks. Ask him what was he thinking and tell him to withdraw this garbage legislation, and folks will keep you informed. Take care.